the exact team I'd hire to scale to 100K per month, working 4 hours per day in my info coaching business. That's exactly what we're going to be going through inside of this video. And the reason why I feel that I'm especially qualified to speak about this topic is that you see a bunch of these guys doing 100K per month. That's all top line. It's all coming through ads. They're spending 50,000 a month on ads to make that 100K. And, their entire business is cooked. They're working 13 hours per day. But I've set my business up in a way where I only need to really work a maximum of 4 hours per day, because from Monday to Friday, I'm in high school for 8 hours. So I'm running my entire coaching business while being in high school for 8 hours a day. I'm filming this on a Sunday. And as you guys can see on my WAP dashboard, I had $9,600 come in yesterday, which I have 90% profit on, somewhere between 80 and 90. Today, I'm waiting on an installment of $4,800 coming in through an existing client. So that would be around $15,000 cash collected in 2 days. I'm probably going to make between $13,000 and $14,000 profit just off of those 2 days alone. And in the past month, we've cash collected around $47,000 just off of this new offer that we just launched, not including the other business that I run where we take percentages in different info coaching offers and etc. So obviously there's a lot of things that I'm doing here, and it would require more than 2-3 hours per day, or let's say maximum 4 hours per day for the average person. But the biggest thing that I can attribute all of this to, and being able to get so many things done on a weekly basis, is just purely delegation. And this is one of those things that not necessarily, I was like, in the very beginning, I was like, oh, okay, I need to get good at delegation. I watched some podcasts and I was like, okay, delegation is what I need to do. I didn't listen to anybody. I just knew that there would be no way that I would be able to scale this info coaching business unless I properly delegated. And I was delegating at $3,000 per month. When my agency was doing $3,000 a month, I had a COO already at that point, which is insane, right? So I've just been delegating for so long, and I have to delegate everything, or almost everything. And that's why I think I've built up a very good system for it. And that's exactly what I'm going to be breaking down in this video: what team you need to hire to actually get 200K per month in your info coaching business successfully, right? So let's jump straight into it. Now, the first part of the process is actually understanding what tasks are worth your time, going from low ROI to ROI to high ROI. Let me actually just switch over to a yellow marker. So in terms of low ROI tasks, this is like, you need to think about, like, the way I kind of like to think about it is, what tasks can you do while listening to a podcast in the background, or listening to some music, or doing whatever, right? You don't fully require your brain. It just requires time and effort to complete. I'll give you a few examples here. This could be, for example, editing videos, creating thumbnails, different graphics, that type of stuff, right? This is like the lowest barrier thing, or the lowest ROI thing that you could possibly do inside of your info coaching business, because it's so easy to outsource. And by the way, I'm going to go through these things and I'm going to tell you exactly how to outsource them too. So editing videos, thumbnails, that type of stuff, absolute lowest stuff. You should not be doing this. As soon as you get a little bit of cash flow in, instantly delegate that stuff. After that, backend systems. Yes, a lot of people do tell you that you do need to learn backend systems, all of this kind of stuff. But realistically speaking, there's always going to be somebody from a third world country who's going to be able to do it 10 times better than you for a 10 time, or like, you're literally going to pay them like $5 an hour. So as soon as you get a little bit of cash flow into your info coaching business and your hour is worth more than $5, instantly delegate backend systems. You don't want to be taking care of this. The next step, which is kind of ROI, because you can be sending voice notes. Obviously, you personalizing is going to be good in the beginning. And especially when you're starting out, you're not going to have that much lead flow inside of your DMs. But as soon as your lead flow does pick up, get an appointment setter in straight away, right? These are kind of like the main tasks that you want to be delegating under 100K per month. I'm going to teach you how to delegate these. And then once we're done delegating these and you want to scale, because these are the problems you're going to be dealing with up until 30K per month, we're going to get into what infrastructure you're going to need to get to 100K per month from 30K per month. So this first initial is just getting to 30K per month, or even if you're already at 30K per month, but you don't have this, you're just lacking the infrastructure in general, right? Because at the end of the day, the goal that we want to get to is that the only two things that you really need to focus on is recording content, because obviously if nobody sees your content, if nobody knows the product that you have, and nobody knows what you're selling, nobody's going to be able to buy it because they don't even know that it exists. And how are they supposed to buy something that they don't even know exists? And the second thing is going to be actually coaching your clients and delivering really good results, because these clients you're going to be able to upsell, you're going to be able to get referrals from, and you're going to be able to get case studies from. And these three things are going to drive your revenue by at least an extra 50%. So all you want to be doing realistically, focusing on these two things, right? And to put as much time and attention into these two things while only working those 4 hours every single day is going to be delegating these tasks right here. And this is exactly what we're going to get into now. So how can you actually delegate your production inside of your info coaching business? The main two things that I would start off with is, first off, a video editor, right? Video editor, depending on the complexity of the videos that you are creating, a video editor, realistically, you're paying $500 to $1,000 per month, and you're saving hours and hours of time on editing each week. You're increasing your brand quality and branding just because this video editor, if all he's doing all day is focusing on video editing and you put a little bit of time and effort into finding somebody good, chances are they're going to be a lot better of a video editor than you, or you can train them to be a lot better of a video editor than you within a few weeks' time, just because their whole entire day is structured around creating the best videos possible around their video editing. And this is really going to save you time with your Instagram reels and sales assets, such as video sales letters and long form YouTube videos. And this is exactly what you need to do. Even if there's no crazy motion graphics, even just a little bit of trimming goes a long way, because all of these little hours that you're spending throughout the week, on Monday, you put an hour in, maybe on Thursday, you have 3 hours, on Sunday, you have a project due on Monday and you're spending maybe 2.5 hours. All of this compounds, and you could realistically be spending $5 to $10 per hour on a video editor to do that task for you. Now, the next hire that you're going to want to make is a copywriter, and you're going to be paying a copywriter a little bit more than you would be paying a video editor, I'd say between 1 and 1.5K per month. But what they're going to be able to do for you is create ideas based on research and competition, increase your conversion rate for the time that you are already spending filming the videos, and you're going to be able to save hours with this entire process while you're going to be able to edit and script these 2 videos. All you really need to do at this point is approve the ideas of the copywriter, approve the ideas of the video editor, and then obviously upload those videos. Now, if you're doing something like YouTube, you do need to kind of check what do you want to delegate in terms of copywriting and what you don't, because it's not going to be that complex a lot of the times. But you can very easily turn your copywriter into somebody who's going to be creating Miro boards just like this one. For example, my copywriter creates these Miro boards. I tell him exactly what I want to say inside of my videos, and he's going to go ahead and create beautiful Miro boards like this that are going to make it so much easier for me to explain what I want to get across. And this is even one of the things that I look at with my private clients inside of the Info Accelerator. We specifically have SOPs to hire these Miro board designers and then train them to create videos that are actually going to convert and get clients out of these niched YouTube channels, right? Or however you're selling your info offer. So definitely recommend getting a copywriter to at least create diagrams like this, give you extra copy, give you extra ideas, and especially research on all of the competitors that you do actually already have, and just take ideas from them, because your competitors, even if they don't have a better, or even if their product is worse than yours, a lot of them do probably have better marketing than you, or are at least doing 1 or 2 things better than you in terms of marketing, and you can always copy that from your competitors, okay? The next step of the process is actually delegating sales, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to pay your sales team and how to manage them here too. So in terms of sales, it's really going to come down to 2 people. You're going to have your DM setter, and you're also going to have your closer, which is a little bit more optional. And I'm going to get into why it's a little bit more optional. So with your DM setter, if again, this is also optional. All of these things are really optional. I'm not telling you to do anything. This is just if you want to optimize your process and make as much money for the amount of time that you're putting in as possible. But with the DM setter, if you're not getting that many DMs, don't get a DM setter. But if you're getting more than 10 messages per day and there are conversations coming in, all of that kind of stuff, get a DM setter. Okay. What the DM setter is going to be doing is he's going to be following a very specific process with the leads. He's going to be qualifying them. He's going to be kind of introducing them into the offer, answering any questions that they have, and then booking them in on a call with a closer. Pretty simple. When a deal closes, you're going to pay the setter 5% commission on a normal offer. But if your offer isn't that good and you're barely creating enough like cash flow, you're not really cash collecting that much. You can pay them up to 10% per commission per deal based on bonuses. And what this is going to be able to do for you is save hours of time qualifying people, warm up your cold leads, and create them easier to close, right? Because all of those people who kind of slip through the cracks don't book in directly through your funnel and just message you on Instagram and they're like, hey, do you have a mentorship? Where they have a specific question. The DM setter can answer that specific question and then pretty much create pain points. Let's say, for example, they text you on, there's something specific that you broke down in this video. For example, here, if they text me, should I give the DM setter a base commission? You text me this on Instagram, right? My DM setter can answer to you and be like, yeah, like, he'll give you the answer to your questions. He'll be like, yeah, like, if your offer isn't doing that good, you can give them a base of 500 to $1,000 per month, however it could be. And then he's going to get into deeper pain points. He's going to try and find more pains, more struggles, more questions that they have, widen the gap, make it seem like what they have right now isn't going to work for them or isn't maximizing their cash flow, which 99% of the times it isn't. And then he's going to sell them on my solution. And this is what you need your DMs that are doing too, just absolutely hammering everybody inside of your DMs and getting as many people from your DMs to actually book in a call with you. We're not trying to sell them on anything. We're simply trying to book them on a quote unquote strategy call, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. Okay. Very simple here, but if you're not getting that many DMs, realistically, you can be taking care of your own DMs yourself. And then the second person, which you can hire, which I especially put into practice as optional, is a closer. If you have less than 3 to 4 calls per day and you have the time to take those calls, I would recommend taking those calls just because, first off, if you take those calls, you're going to collect data for your closer for when you do eventually hire them. Your closer is going to be able to watch those sales call recordings and see how you speak about your own product. Because even if you don't have the sales skills, first off, you're going to convert higher because they booked a call for your product and you're the person actually jumping on the call. And the biggest reason, doesn't matter how good you are at sales, your product, you're going to know that your product is better than the rest of your competition. And for that reason, you're going to have so much conviction inside of your own product. And because you have that conviction, that's going to outshine pretty much every single sales skills and sales tactic that you could use to try and convert this person. As long as you're confident about your product and you know that what you're selling is actually genuinely good and is genuinely going to help people get to their goals or whatever the dream outcome of your offer is. And obviously, the goal of this, increased close rate, I guess you kind of could say if you're a really bad closer, but most of the time, it's just going to have the same close rate as you have. It's going to give you much more time for your higher ROI tasks, and he's essentially going to be following up with all of the leads, right? I would recommend if you're getting more than 3 to 4 calls a day, and you don't have the time for it, but even if you don't have the time for it and you're even getting like a few calls per day, that's going to be enough to hire a closer or a part-time closer, right? Because you can hire both of these roles on a part-time basis. Pretty simple. And then what you're going to be doing with the closer is you're going to be going over his frameworks or giving him frameworks on how to close the leads. Then you're going to give him the sales script and you're going to be reviewing all of the calls or most of the calls that he takes to see whether he's actually performing and hitting the key performance indicators which you want him to hit to actually stay on the offer and make sure that you're maximizing cash flow on the offer specifically. So these are kind of like the entry level hires that you do want to make. They're simple hires, like they're not that complicated to make. And these hires alone are just going to save you so much time and money, especially when you start making a little bit of money with your info coaching offer. However, let's say you made these hires, you're posting all the content, you're doing everything that you need to do, you're not being lazy, and you got to the point where you're making around $30,000 per month in your info coaching offer. Well, now you need to figure out how you're going to get from 30,000 a month to 100,000 per month, because the things that are going to get you from 0 to 30K per month are going to be completely different to the things that are going to get you from 30K a month to 100K per month. Simple as that. So the part that a lot of you are probably here for is obviously getting from that 30K per month mark to that 100K per month mark. So to do this, there are different hires that you're going to make, like I said before, and this isn't going to be the typical video editor, copywriter, sales team. These are going to be higher level people that are going to require more money, more risk up front, but have the potential to make you exponential amounts, right? It's absolutely insane. And this is the main hires that I actually made to get to my initial 10K months, 20K months, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and even offers that we did multiple 6 figures per month on. We always had these 3 people on board. So you're going to need to get executives at this point, and these are going to be more so digital marketers. Now, the first person that I always like to hire is going to be a COO, Chief Operations Officer, and this Chief Operations Officer is going to be in the trenches every single day, in the trenches of the business, figuring out what problems there are, finding problems, solving them, finding problems, solving them, finding problems, solving them, right? All day long. And this is what's really going to drive the business forward. So this could be, for example, overseeing daily operations, optimizing processes and systems, tracking performance metrics, collabing with the sales manager and CMO, which we're going to get into a little bit later, and just finding problems. Like with these people, when they're collabing with them, find a problem, right? So let's put a P, and then let's get my highlighter out. Let's say problem, right? Problem. Think of how they can solve the problem, and then solve the problem like all day long, finding problems, solving problems, finding problems, solving problems. That's literally all it is. This person gets paid quite well, but for the amount of problems that they're finding and solving on a daily basis, this drives the business forward like crazy, right? And he's also going to be managing the backend, right? So he's going to be in charge of the CRM, right? Go high level, ClickFunnels, Zapier, all of the automations on the backend, unless you already have a backend person. But if you don't already have a backend person at this point, and you've been doing it yourself up until this point, it's really going to help for a COO to be in the backends, because most of the time it's not going to be that much work on the backend. And then it's just going to give him even more context on the rest of the business, even though somebody could build it out. Somebody else could build it out. Him building it out himself is just going to allow him to know exactly what's going on inside of the backend, and based off of that information, he's just going to have more context on the rest of the business, and that's going to help him make better decisions that drive the business forward. And he's also going to be able to speak to the client success manager, whose tasks is obviously to build customer relationships and successes, make sure that clients are following the roadmap, and promote renewals and upsells, right? And this client success manager is going to be operating in School and Discord or Slack. Simple as that. So to kind of recap here, because the COO is so important, I just want to make sure that this is clear. He's pretty much taking care of all of the operations, finding problems, solving them. Then he's also in charge of the backend, just so that he has the full scope in the business. And he's also managing the client success managers when you do eventually need them. However, I do recommend delivering the product yourself. For example, for my offer specifically, just to speak from experience, through this YouTube channel, I sell an offer to help other people start a micro niche YouTube channel to sell their high ticket services. And I still do the fulfillment myself. There's no coaches. The only person that I have is a guy who builds out the backend infrastructure of the people's offers that we help, just because we are partially done for you and done with you. And that's pretty much it, right? So simple as that. And me just doing it myself, like we have the craziest case studies ever, just because I help people one-on-one. And then once you have those case studies, obviously you can kind of, get into different fulfillment structures and whatever it could be. But getting those initial case studies, nothing's going to beat you helping those clients one-on-one, because they're going to listen to you the best, and you're going to have the best information out of anybody else, because you're obviously going to know more about the topic than the person who you trained about the topic, right? Next person, once your sales team starts scaling up, I would recommend hiring a sales manager or a part-time sales manager, because obviously you are not going to know as much about sales as a person who's gone from an appointment setter, leveled up to a closer, and got up to a sales manager. So for the people who don't kind of know how sales teams are built up, there are different tiers to the entire thing. And let's kind of put a pyramid for this. And then the top would be the pinnacle, like the best place you want to be at, and the bottom would be like the worst place to be at. So usually you're going to start off as either a setter. Actually, let me just put this in text. And this appointment setter is essentially going to be part of the DMs and getting people to book in calls. And then if you have an opt-in to your funnel where people can fill in their phone number, you want somebody instantly calling these people, not closing them, calling them to book them onto a sales call. That's going to be the dialer. He's a little bit higher up, but they get paid the exact same. And then you have the closer. And when you've been closing for a long enough time, you can become a closer manager / sales manager, whatever you want to call it, right? But essentially just sales manager. And this person gets paid the most amount of money based on this team. The way I've kind of ranked it is at the very top, they get paid the most money. And at the very bottom, they get paid the least amount of money, right? And the closer manager obviously just gets paid that much for his experience and being able to guide the sales team. And what he's going to be in charge of on a daily basis is monitoring the sales team's performance, training the sales teams and correcting the mistakes that they're making to close more deals, managing the setters and the closers. Potentially you could also have it at the point where, we have some offers where we're doing $200,000 or $300,000 per month, and we have separate managers for the closers, for the setters, and for the dialers. And if it gets to that point where your business is so sophisticated, I guess you could say, and you're making so much money where even optimizing an extra 5 to 10% will make you thousands and thousands every single month, you can get a sales director to manage the sales managers, and the sales managers manage just the normal sales team. But you don't want to overcomplicate it. I know I'm probably overwhelming a lot of you guys. The reason a lot of you like the videos is I don't overwhelm you. So to keep it as simple as possible, just hit one manager for the closers and the setters if you're under 100K per month. And this is essentially going to develop and execute all of the sales strategies. It's going to come down to that. On the actual sales side of the sales manager, what he's going to be able to do, like I said before, is just make sure that all of these guys are performing. Obviously, the DM setter, we spoke about the commission and everything like that before. The closer, we spoke about the commission and everything like that before too. And then obviously the phone setter, this is the exact same structure or payment structure as the DM setter, where you're paying them 5 to 10% per deal, 5% usually. Again, it saves hours of time qualifying people, warms up cold leads, creates them easier to close, and lets the creator actually focus on those higher ROI tasks. That's what it's going to come down to, but essentially somebody who can put all of his focus and attention to managing that one team and improving that one team on a daily basis. And if you really want to make sure that everything is optimized, ideally, in an ideal world, your sales manager is taking all of the information, all of the data he's getting from the sales team, whatever the leads that you're getting on the offer are saying, and he's going to be communicating that to the CMO so that the CMO can implement that data into the marketing, right? So let's say, for example, the leads are broke. We might have to create a different type of content to attract leads that aren't broke, but leads being broke is usually an excuse. That's just like one example, right? So with the CMO, he's going to be taking that data from the sales manager and then implementing it into the marketing, right? So this could be doing competitor research or just speaking to the sales manager, leading the marketing strategy, managing the marketing teams, and driving client acquisition. And then in terms of the actual production, the CMO is also going to be managing the production team. So he's going to be making sure that the copywriters are doing what they need to be doing, the video editors are editing the videos and hitting the deadlines that we want them to be hitting, and that the graphic designer is hitting the deadlines and doing what he needs to be doing. I know we haven't gone over the payment structure of the graphic designer yet, so let's do that quickly now. The graphic designers get between $500 and $1,000 per month. They create thumbnails, create the visual graphics for websites, and increase the quality and branding. And obviously, we've already gone over the payment structures of all of these guys, and I didn't go over these because we've gone through these payment structures too. But yes, this is exactly how I've been able to build up my sales team, scale at this point more than 10 coaching offers to over 100K per month. And these are essentially key hires that you're going to need to actually turn your info coaching business into more of a side hustle, into a real business. Now, if you need help implementing this or anything else around your info coaching business, and anything that it's going to take you from 0, 10, 20, maybe you're at 30K per month, all the way to 100K per month, you're going to be able to book in a call. First link in the description under this video, there's going to be a super simple Calendly link where you can book a one-on-one call with me, not some kind of closer, and we're just going to walk over the strategy of your coaching offer. I'm going to give you a little bit of an audit, give you some next steps, and if it does make sense for us to work one-on-one with each other, then that's all good, and we'll figure out how that's going to work. And if it doesn't make sense, I'll leave you better than you started by giving you resources of the things that I provide my one-on-one students with. And if you're starting from complete zero and you don't have a coaching offer yet, I can help you with that too by building a micro niche YouTube channel just like this one right here, where we're going to start with a super small audience, create super specific videos for a super specific ICP, and sell a mentorship on the back end of that. If you want to hear more of that, you can also book a call with me, first link in the description. And if you have any questions about anything that I spoke about inside of this video, you can always message me on Instagram at alexi.archived. That's everything from me. Have a good one. Bye.